If you've never seen a Baz Luhrmann movie and want to know what it's like, let me paint you a picture. Imagine drinking from a giant mug of coffee that's also laced with marijuana and a splash of LSD. All the colors you see are gorgeous, your heart beats a mile a minute, but time seems to drag on forever with 2.5 hours feeling like 5. If that somehow sounds appetizing to you, Elvis might be the movie for you. Hello and welcome to the Martini Shot. My name is Brandon and today I am going to be reviewing the 2022 musical biopic Elvis. But before I do that, let's pay homage to the legend himself with a peanut butter and banana whiskey cocktail I've named the King. With all pop culture legends, there's a sort of mysticism to their habits off stage. With Elvis, there's been a lot of speculation around his love life, potential ties to the mafia, and even the idea that he faked his own death and may still be walking around amongst us. All these are, of course, unproven, but there's one concrete element that has persisted across all takes of the King, and that was his love for his peanut butter and banana sandwiches. The recipe for this particular sandwich will sometimes vary depending on who you ask, but peanut butter and banana are always present and are what I focus this cocktail around. For the base spirit, I've gone with a mix between scotch and peanut butter whiskey, with additional flavors coming from banana liqueur and honey, and then given an additional body with some cream to make this flavorful, sweet, and savory. Let's get into it. So we are going to go ahead and start with our base spirit, and that is going to be scotch. I am going to be using the Dewar's White Label just because it's not super expensive. You'll still be able to taste it inside the drink, but it's not going to break the bank. And I know a lot of people who drink scotch basically kind of see it as blasphemy to drink it mixed with anything other than just maybe one single ice cube. But I do enjoy the occasional dessert-like scotch whiskey cocktail. Actually, this is the first time scotch has been on the channel in quite a while. Actually, I think all the way back to the very first cocktail I made for the Martini Shot, which I made for the Lighthouse. That was also a very similar cocktail that also used scotch and a little bit of honey in there. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump in with the scotch starting at 1.5 ounces. And then next, to give it that peanut butter flavor, we are going to be using a little bit of Screwball peanut butter whiskey. I know people really love this stuff, but I have to emphasize this is barely whiskey. Like by the very, very minute definition, you could maybe call this whiskey, but really it's just a very sweet, syrupy peanut butter drink. And I know a lot of people like it, and there's nothing wrong if you like it. But I will say this stuff is very strong, not in its alcohol content, but in its taste. When I was toying around with this, I had to keep dialing it back because just the smallest amount of peanut butter whiskey that I use in this, the peanut butter flavor still found a way to power through. So I think I've settled on 1/2 ounce. It's pretty safe, you're still gonna taste it, but it's not going to overpower the rest of the drink. So like I said, 1/2 ounce of the peanut butter whiskey. Next, we're gonna be using the banana liqueur. We're gonna use a little bit more than the peanut butter whiskey just to kind of give it a fighting chance to let that banana flavor come through and not just be completely drowned out by the peanut butter whiskey. So we're gonna do 3/4 ounce of the banana liqueur. Next, for a little bit of sweetness, we're gonna add some honey. This will come out to about 1/2 ounce or at least a tablespoon. And then next, to give it a little bit of body, we're going to add 1/2 ounce of heavy cream. And if heavy cream isn't your thing, if you're a little bit lactose intolerant, like I keep trying to tell myself that I'm not, you can definitely use a substitute like an almond milk or a coconut cream. All right, now we have some ice in the shaker. Let's go ahead and shake the chill. And we are going to be serving this in a rocks glass, but before we pour that in, we're going to actually add just a little bit of chocolate syrup just around the bottom. It's just gonna give it a kind of a nice little look to kind of clash with the very white cocktail that's going in. And then we will be serving this over ice, so if you have enough ice in your shaker already, you're more than welcome to go ahead and open pour, which is what I'm gonna do. So now we have the drink completed, but we are also going to be garnishing it. And I was kind of going back and forth on what I really wanted to garnish it with. So I went and basically kind of looked at some of the other ingredients that are commonly found in these kind of sandwiches. And I found that even though it kind of sways depending on who you talk to, Elvis enjoyed a little bit of bacon in his, and I thought it would be really fun to actually garnish this with a little bit of bacon, plus a nice little banana wheel just to kind of bring everything home. You can kind of do this however you want. For the sake of style, I'm just going to be doing one little banana wheel, and then I'm also going to be skewering a strip of bacon in there. Let's go ahead and get that banana cut though. Just keep that on standby. Let's go ahead and grab our strip of bacon. So if you really want to plan ahead and you want to be a little bit extra, you are more than welcome to cook a full strip of bacon from raw to cooked. For the sake of time though, I went ahead and bought some pre-cooked bacon. I'm not going to microwave it just for the sake of time and presentation, but it's already fully cooked. So if you don't mind a little bit of cold bacon, you can just eat it straight from the box. And now once you have your bacon and your banana slice, now you truly have the king. All right, let's go ahead and give it a taste. Like I said earlier, even though there's only the smallest amount of that peanut butter whiskey in there, you still get a pretty predominant peanut butter taste. However, it isn't overpowering, it's not overly sweet, thanks to a little bit of that cream cutting it down, and also the banana liqueur, the honey, the scotch. It all kind of mixes together really, really good. It does have a bit of a bite thanks to that scotch because it is the predominant ingredient here. But it's not too overpowering. I think it mixes really well with the cream, makes it very approachable, very sweet, very savory like I was saying. Having that banana wheel just kind of right by your nose whenever you take a sip actually does a lot to make you taste a lot more of the banana inside of the drink. It's definitely a very good addition to this drink. The bacon, I mean, it's bacon. If you like bacon, then I think you're gonna enjoy this. It's gonna match really well with the savory qualities of this drink. Overall, very good drink, nice and sweet, but not overtly, a little bit savory, nice and creamy, very good dessert drink. I think Elvis would be proud. Now that we have our drink, let's jump into the review of Elvis. Elvis Presley is certainly a polarizing figure in music, so it's only fitting that his latest biopic was directed by an additionally polarizing director, Baz Luhrmann, known for Moulin Rouge, Romeo and Juliet, and The Great Gatsby, and he has one of the most recognizable styles of any director working today. By style, I mean rapid fast cuts, erratic editing, bright and flashy colors, and an unbridled pandemonium. He directs all of his films like high-energy music videos, which there's a reason why music videos are only 3 minutes long. It can definitely become grating over the course of 2.5 hours, and Elvis is certainly no exception. Yet this in-your-face approach to storytelling does work surprisingly well at times, elevating an otherwise run-of-the-mill biopic to an occasionally entertaining bit of eye candy. But let's start with the one thing that will absolutely make or break your musical biopic: the performances of the lead actor. Relative newcomer Austin Butler had a hell of a task ahead of him to harness Presley's likeness and talent. And my God, did he deliver. Butler not only does a fantastic job at harnessing the unbridled showmanship of the late great Elvis, but also manages to ground the icon in a way that avoids common cliches and surface level interpretations. From the singing to the dancing to just the way that he talks, Butler has impressed the hell out of me with his commitment to accuracy and the insane amount of musical talent he'd have to possess to make this possible. This must be the film starring Barbra Streisand that Elvis turned down, because A Star is Born. Speaking of stars, Tom Hanks is here too. Damn, dude. Look, I do think his performance is going to be overly hated. I can't say it's good, but Hanks does his best with what he's given. Is the accent hokey? Yeah, but hokey doesn't bother me as much if there's a decent script giving the accent engaging and enjoyable words to say. It's not quite Jared Leto in House of Gucci bad, but I do think Hanks can't be the only one at fault here. I will say it's an interesting approach to tell the story by having it be told from the point of view of someone famously known for manipulating Elvis, but it ultimately does make the audience feel a little bit distanced from the character. It works in the beginning when Elvis is still a mysterious, almost mythological creature, but for the rest of the movie, it really hindered the attachment to the character at moments. Butler's performance as Elvis is certainly the highlight, both from a physical point of view and a musical point of view. The soundtrack here is classic Luhrmann, utilizing a mix of old and new music, while also remixing and reapproaching some Elvis classics. It does make the film feel a bit jarring at times, but I think it tends to work better than its use in, say, The Great Gatsby. The rest of Luhrmann's usual tricks in his toolkit contribute to the mess in a similar fashion, most noticeably the editing and pacing. Like I said before, the film rarely slows down, moving from different periods in Elvis's life at breakneck speeds. Yet it still manages to go on and on and on way more than it should. The beginning of the film is told in a disjointed, fractured style that I actually found kind of interesting for a biopic, but once the film moves to a more linear style of storytelling, the fervent energy just doesn't connect as well as it did in the beginning. Luhrmann at least recognizes moments where he needs to pump the brakes and let us sit inside these scenes of heavy emotion, something I thought he did fairly well with Moulin Rouge. There's some solid emotional moments here, even if they're a bit cliche. Ultimately, that's the problem with essentially every modern musical biopic. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, really did kill every biopic that would come after due to it pointing out the repetitive nature of many of these movies. This film at least manages to avoid some of those egregious cliches, but it's not completely void of them either. It's certainly more lively than Bohemian Rhapsody, but not as creative in its approach as Rocketman. Luhrmann does his best to inject his flashy style into the story, but when you look at it a little bit closer, you see it doesn't go nearly as deep or introspective into its legend's more complicated talking points, like the connection between Elvis's fame and his hijacking of black music. It all feels a bit too safe and sterile, which, when you have the living family only giving you the green light when the film is to their liking, you can't really expect much more. If you are a fan of Baz Luhrmann's past films, you may find yourself enjoying this, though you may find his story to be not nearly as interesting as his past work. Be sure to buckle up for the long haul, because the second you start to come out of that ethereal high the film's visuals put you in, you'll begin to notice just how much the film can drag on. For my rating, I'm giving this film 3 snowmen out of 5. Seriously, just go watch Walk Hard. It's the be-all, end-all of musical biopics. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Martini Shot. If you saw Elvis, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And if you like what you saw here and would like to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me across all social media channels. Those links are down in the description below. And if you would like to see more movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to check out my website, martinishot.blog. Until next time, thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next one. Live deliciously, but please remember to drink responsibly. Thank you.